Someone said politics is everything, and they were right. It touches everything, even dates. You know the fruit of the date palm? Dates are now the target of a campaign. Muslims in Europe are being told to boycott Israeli dates to avoid breaking their Ramadan fasts with what's being called the taste of racism. If successful, this campaign would hurt Israel. It's a big producer of dates. 50% of its exports go to Europe. And this is not the first time Israel is being targeted in this fashion. So who's behind this campaign? Have such campaigns in the past worked? And what's Israel's response? Here's a report. Ahead of Ramadan, a protest is brewing in Europe. A protest against Israeli dates. Muslims across the continent are being encouraged to avoid dates from Israel. They're being asked to not break their fasts with what's being called the taste of racism. The campaign is called Check the Label. It urges people to check the labels of the dates they're buying. If the label says the fruits come from Israel, consumers should put them back on the shelf. But why dates? Because of their symbolic importance to Muslims. They're traditionally eaten at sunset during Ramadan to break the daylight fast. This campaign has been launched by a UK-based NGO called Friends of Al-Aqsa. They're urging people to send a clear message to Israel. This is their way of condemning what they call Israel's illegal occupation and apartheid in Palestine. They aim to hit Israel's coffers to hurt them. And if this movement gains traction, it actually could. The global trade in dates is worth almost $2 billion. Israel is among the top 5 exporters. 50% of Israel dates are exported to Europe. The UK, the Netherlands, France, Spain and Italy import huge quantities of these dates. In 2020, the UK imported dates worth about $9 million from Israel. The boycott organizers believe the Muslim community plays a huge role here. They say a large proportion of that income comes from buying dates during Ramadan. About 7% of the population in Britain is Muslim, and together they can harm the lucrative Israeli industry. This boycott call also comes at a time of increased violence between Israel and Palestine. Just yesterday, Palestinian attackers carried out several drive-by shootings in Jericho. An Israeli American was shot dead in the incident. Earlier, there was a rampage by Jewish settlers in West Bank's Palestinian villages. One Palestinian civilian was killed and dozens of cars and homes burned. 67 Palestinians have been killed just this year. This includes 13 children. That's one child death every 5 days. On the Israeli side, 14 people have been killed. Last year saw the highest number of deaths in years. More than 150 Palestinians and over 20 Israelis were killed in the West Bank and Israel. The British NGO has accused Israel of apartheid crimes. And a date boycott is their response. But it's not the first time a boycott like this has been tried. Last year, Unilever sold the ice cream brand Ben & Jerry's to a local licensee in Israel and the West Bank. A month later, the ice cream company filed a lawsuit. They said they no longer want to sell their products in the occupied West Bank. The ice cream war got a strong response from Israel, though the matter was later resolved. As for the Check the Label campaign, it was tried before too, over a decade ago. The Israeli ambassador to the UK then had the perfect response to it. He said, "Whilst others choose to export hate, Israel will continue to successfully export dates." And now to some positive news. Has the world found a cure for HIV/AIDS? The trends are encouraging. A 5th person has been cured of HIV. Remember, this disease was once thought to be incurable. A 5th success story is indeed promising. But don't start writing obituaries for contraceptive companies just yet. The cure is complicated. All the patients, including the latest one, suffered from both cancer and HIV. They were cured after undergoing stem cell transplantation. The cure is a cancer treatment that has the side effect of curing HIV. And of course, the procedure is both risky and extremely expensive. Despite all this, it's positive news, we say, and something to cheer about. Here's more.
Another person has been cured of HIV. This brings the number up to 5. The patient is a 53-year-old German man. codenamed the Dusseldorf patient to protect his privacy. He, like all the others who've been cured, suffered from both HIV and cancer. He underwent a stem cell transplantation surgery in 2013 to treat his cancer. The transplantation happened to cure his HIV. In 2019, the Dusseldorf patient stopped taking his HIV treatment. Now, 4 years later, doctors have declared that he's HIV-free. It isn't just a long remission, he's been cured. So how does the cure work? Let's start with the basics. HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. It's a virus that attacks our body's immune system, rendering it all but useless. When this happens, the patient is said to suffer from AIDS, or acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. HIV and AIDS are not synonyms. HIV is the virus. It can be contained. Contracting HIV was a death sentence in the 1980s. That was the peak of the global HIV/AIDS epidemic. Now, people use medicines to keep the virus in check. It's called antiretroviral therapy. This therapy can contain HIV, stop people from passing it on, and generally help patients live an almost normal life. But HIV still could not be cured. That's where the new cure comes in. You see, some people in the world are almost completely immune to HIV. It's because of a genetic mutation. It prevents the virus from affecting a person's immune system. So doctors take the cells from such a person and transplant them in an HIV patient. It has happened in the case of all of those who've been cured. They've all had stem cell transplants. Stem cells are the cells that make your blood. They're located in the bone marrow. In all 5 cases, the stem cells from an immune person were transferred into the cancer and HIV patients.
The stem cell transplant, what it's going to do is to replace the immune cells from the patient with immune cells from the donor. And in the case of people with HIV, this means that the immune cells from the donor are going to replace and destroy the immune cells that are those carrying HIV in the patients.
If we know this works, why aren't we making this cure widely available? Because it's risky. Stem cell transplants are dangerous. They're only used on cancer patients when there are no other options. The second problem is the cost. Stem cell transplants aren't cheap. In the US, they can cost anywhere between $25,000 to even $100,000. The treatment is available in India as well, but costs between 15 to 25 lakh rupees. The third issue is finding stem cell donors who are immune to HIV. Only 1% of all humans are immune to HIV, and most of them happen to be white people. So until they start donating their stem cells, or we artificially create HIV immune stem cells, there will always be a shortage. Despite the challenges, the cure offers valuable information. It provides insights that could help us eradicate HIV.
This is clearly an exciting result, but it's not the therapeutic solution for everyone, for every person living with HIV. However, this is showing us that we have a possibility of reproduce an outcome of HIV cure using a therapeutic intervention.
While the end of HIV/AIDS may still be decades away, the latest report also brings hope to the millions living with the disease.
If your idea of a great nightlife is uninterrupted REM sleep, our next story is for you. Have you heard of sleep tourism yet? The world is really waking up to it. It's become the biggest trend in the hotel industry. So what does sleep tourism really mean? It refers to a holiday where the primary focus is your sleep. It can include everything from the place you stay at to the activities you engage in. They're all aimed at a good night's rest for you. Who knew that sleep could be the hottest new service? And hotels are not sleeping on the trend. They're doing much more than placing eye masks and earplugs on bedside tables. Let me give you examples. A hotel in New York has opened a restorative sleep suite. It has an AI-powered bed with sleep-enhancing amenities. The bed dynamically adjusts to relieve pressure points. It even controls the climate through various sleep stages. And the next morning, it submits a sleep report, believe it or not. London too has a sleep-centric hotel. It has innovative soundproofing and a sleep concierge. In Paris, a hotel has a zero-gravity chair, apparently to give you better rest in anti-gravity style. And in Portugal, there's Sleep Spa Hotel, secluded from the chaos of the city. There are more on the list. Hotels with sleep-inducing meditation recording, a pillow menu, weighted blankets, and special bedtime tea. And all of this simply to enhance sleep. And as you can tell, these are still luxury services, but experts say most hotels could soon make sleep a priority, which begs the question, why has sleep suddenly become a big focus for the travel industry? How many of you would go on a vacation just to sleep? It's unconventional. Traveling was supposed to be about adventure, about immersing yourself in new cultures, new cuisines, new experiences. Yet more and more people are now traveling just to sleep better. And for the hotel industry, battered by the pandemic, this is wonderful news. Let me show you some data from 2020. In the US, 70% of the hotel staff was laid off, 80% of hotel rooms remained empty. The industry saw a 50% revenue decline. Same with India. The sector lost some $16 billion in revenue. In the UK, the loss was $156 billion. This is the story across the world. Now, hotels are thinking of new ways to attract guests. And you know what most guests complain about? Poor sleep. The pandemic has ruined our sleep, and I'm not speaking metaphorically. Reports of insomnia are on the rise. So much so that pandemic-induced sleep deprivation has its own name. It's called coronasomnia. A study was conducted across 50 countries. More than 40% of the respondents reported loss of sleep after COVID. 40%. So for the struggling hotel industry, this was the perfect pitch. A hotel for a good night's sleep. And it has clicked. People aren't traveling at the cost of sleep anymore. They're paying to get it. Plus, there's more awareness about sleep, why you need it, and how lack of it can cause irritability, tiredness, anxiety, even depression. So a getaway to get good sleep may be a good idea. But it's not a long-term solution, really. You can't undo the harms of poor sleep over a long period of time by one sleep holiday. Also remember, humans have slept without scented pillows and weighted blankets for centuries. Instead of AI, we had fresh sheets. Instead of a sleep concierge, we had family members with a strict no lights past bedtime rule. So it all depends on you, really. Different things work for different people at different stages in life. Go on the holiday by all means, but work on your routine beyond it. In this hustle culture, avoiding sleep comes at a heavy cost. In some cases, it could be a hefty hotel bill, because sometimes the ultimate luxury is just a good night's rest. And finally, it's time for Vantage shots, images that tell the story. Starting with the UK, northern lights lit up the night sky in southern England. They are seen in Scotland, but rarely ever spotted in the UK's south. In Greece, people participated in a flower war, much like the Indian festival of Holi. People had fun with colors there. In Singapore, women are ruling the male-dominated sport of wrestling. And finally, Courtney Cox, the actor who played Monica in Friends, got her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Her on-screen and off-screen best friends, Jennifer Aniston, who played Rachel, and Lisa Kudrow, who played Phoebe, were there to support her. Could there be a better end to tonight's show, we say? Leaving you with the visuals. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.